It's showtime in the Apollo. I would say that at the beginning. Hey, how we doing? Good morning, everybody. It's showtime in the Push Power to Power show, man. We're live with your host, Jesus Ortiz, man. I'm just happy to be here another day, another episode, another guest, another interview. I'm just happy to have someone very special that I've been looking at her and looking at her website, and I said I need to bring a lot of different people in here, just not the same people, but different niches, but they're doing the same. And I said we got to get different guests, different interviews, relationship healers, all of that, everything, so we can all learn that they're here, that they're there, that they're here to help us on whatever it is, man. Especially relationships, man. Right now, it's tough out there. A lot of people divorcing, a lot of people, not getting along together. So that's something that it has to be talked. It's communication. But when you don't have a coach, you don't have a mentor, and you don't look for somebody like that, then what are you gonna think? Oh, they're not there, or they're there, but they cost a lot of money, or they won't help me. It's just a lot of questions in your mind, but you can't question. Well, let me get back that you have to ask a lot of questions, but you have to ask the questions to the people that are already doing that are already making that happen. If you know you need help on the relationship and you need help in this, well, you need to get help on that, and you got to follow and figure out who is out there that is making that happen. And I brought somebody today, man. I'm just gonna be quiet and get her in here, and it's going to be an amazing show. So if you're watching, tuning in, don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow Yeraldy Media and also your concert media group. I'll put it in here right now. I'm just excited to have her here. So I totally forgot about my banners and all this stuff right here, but let me get in here. Boom, right here. And I'm going to get her in here. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to leave the house for her. And here is Miss Stephanie Mckenzie.
Well, hello,
Good
hello.
morning, Miss Stephanie.
Good morning, Jesus. How are you? Good.
I'm doing great. I hope you're doing
Good.
great too.
I'm doing
I was gonna
great.
say Wednesday, but it's Tuesday.
Don't do that, Jesus, because I'm doing good to know what
I
day it
know, right?
is. So if you mess that up for me, I I don't know how I'm going to work that out. I'm not sure how I'm going to work that out. So,
Right.
well, I'm happy to be here on Tuesday.
And it's been blessed to have you here because, like I was saying at the beginning, I wanted to have different guests, different interview different people on their niche, on their business, on their calling. And I'm just blessed to have you here because I know there's gonna be more out here that I'm gonna have your friend went to, and a lot of other different people that people need to see that they're here. People need to see that they're out there, that they need help, that we right here as small businesses, we need to keep on helping each other up and helping moving up. I mean, you
Mhm.
already know the big companies already made it. It's our time to make it, but still be humble
Yeah.
in our own ways, because that word humble is thrown away and use it in so many ways that sometimes, like my hashtag is hashtag humble power, but I truly go for hashtag humble power. And then people tell me, hey, you throwing away humble. And like, no, I know people might use humble for the wrong things. I'm not going to use it for the wrong things.
Hmm.
But I'm going to leave you the mic, guys. And I want you to listen to her. She's going to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about herself. So, Miss Stephanie, you got the mic on.
All righty. Well, I mean, there's so many places I could start. My story is fairly weird. Let my mother tell it. I've been a relationship coach probably my entire life. One of the funny things I used to do, you know how you think you're smarter than your parents sometimes? Those of you that have children know this. I had a phone curfew where I was supposed to be off of the phone. And the phone was cordless. So I thought, at least I think that phone was cordless. If not, it had one of those super long cords. Remember, you could like take it all around the house and outside because you thought you were, being innovative. And I would take the phone and I would roll under my bed and I would continue whatever conversation that I was having to help somebody get through their challenges or whatever. And so back when I was on the radio, I would say uh, about 8 years ago, I had my own show. And it was so funny because I had my mom, I interviewed her. And she said, yeah, I used to hear you talking all hours of the night. And I was like, what? So I thought I was smarter than her. Never dawned on me that her room was right next to my room. So she probably did hear me, but she never said a word. I never got in trouble for that, which I thought was very kind of her. because she could hear me helping people. So that's what she thought. But this was also not the plan. Like professionally, I've been a relationship coach for 10 years. I've been a health and healing coach, if you will, for the last two. And I guess I've always been a healer my entire life as well. I just didn't take that in. I just didn't feel like that was something to be. So in both respects, I was never going to be a relationship coach, a healer, all of these things that I am now. That was really never my plan. I've always thought that relationships were important. I was always the go-to girl if somebody had a relationship problem. I always thought relationships were valuable. Definitely think marriage is super valuable. But yeah, professionally, this was not what I was doing. My background is marketing and business. And so how I came into this space was so bizarre because I thought I was actually in control of the situation. I went to work for a client. They were a dating site they were launching. And I was like, you know what would be great? We should offer relationship education. That way we can say something like, we help you keep love, not just get it and search for it. That was my thing. So I said, you know what? I'll go get certified as a relationship coach. That way I can present the classes and I won't just be the marketing director that also teaches relationship class. I thought that was asinine. Anyway, long story short, I get into this program for certification. My project, my client, the website, all of it, it goes completely defunct. It was like, bye bye now. And I am left with all these people in social media that are like, oh my God, I really love what you said. Because I had already started building the brand, galvanizing people around the message. And I was like, what am I supposed to do now? And so it felt like I was supposed to do this, but I didn't want to do it. Like, I'm just gonna be honest with you all, with your listeners, with your viewers. I did not want to be a coach. I did not want to be a relationship coach. I kept arguing with the divine, like, hey, I'm a marketer. Like, I own a marketing agency. I got whole awards for marketing. Hello, this is what I do. And yeah, I lost that battle. And so here we are, 10 years later. Been through a name change. The original name of the company was What the Love, and that was because it was never supposed to see the light of day. And now 10 years later, we have the relationship firm, we have the healing firm, and I am passionately building my personal brand, stephaniedmckenzie.com, where everything just kind of congeals. So it is definitely a different plan than I had in mind, but definitely divine timing is always perfect. So I'm excited.
That is, when I was listening to that, when you say you didn't want to, be in that was like, that happens to everybody. Maybe not everybody, but some people that, like, I told you, God, that this is what I wanted to do. But all along, he knew that, yeah, it was a good start for you, to start building yourself, your character. But your stuff was like, like somewhere that you didn't even believe that it was there.
Right.
And it's crazy to know that the people are watching us live, and the people are gonna watch us replay.
Right.
Don't get that wrong. If you start something and you believe that is for you, hey, I myself ran through it. I thought that I had my own business back in the day that I used to do pressure washing, and I thought that was me, that pressure washing myself, and I turned it in. It was good because I turned it into video. Like, not a lot of pressure people are doing funny videos, out there, and I did that. I was like out there making videos, and my coworkers working, but I was being funny, like if it was like this me a TV show, but I'm pressure washing, and you have to do that. You have to create yourself different. Don't Yes, we look at everybody else, you, myself, and top people. We read books, and we have to get a little piece and make it on your own character.
Right.
And it's just amazing when you do that. Like, listening to you, do you have a story out there of yourself when you were young that you remember that you're like, it comes to mind every time? Like, I know everybody does. Like, when you were 8, 10, and you're like, oh man, that stuff was funny. I can't believe I'm 30 or something right now and I did that.
Yeah, that's probably the scathing message that I sent to my godmother when she got divorced. Like, I've always thought marriage was everything. And so I was in her wedding, and I remember she told me she was getting divorced. I must have been 11 or 12. And I just didn't, I just was not receiving the message of divorce. I was like, ma'am. So I wrote her. In fact, I talked to her the other day and I said, do you still have that letter? I think I wrote her like a 4-page letter about marriage and how you took vows and this is unacceptable. And like, I'm just going completely off as if I am not some child talking to an adult. But I was like, I was in your wedding. Like, I mean, it was a thing. Like, I was really just going in. And I always remember that. It's part of the reason I think that I hold marriage in such high esteem when I'm working with my clients. One of the things that I make very clear to them is that, listen, don't bring that we want a marriage like grandma and mima, you know, or whatever, or papa or whomever. Don't bring that here. Like, this is about you having the marriage that you want. It is not about you mimicking somebody else's relationship because you think that for the last 30 years they were together and that's what you want. You don't know how they were together. You don't know what they did to make that last. You don't know their real struggles. You know the struggles they might have let you in on. So you got to be careful about, you know, coveting, if you will, other people's relationships and definitely other people's marriages. So because of what happened with her, like, that really reminds me of how important marriage is. But by that same token, I'm also a huge proponent of, if we're not growing together, then we can't go together. And so I used to believe that marriage was about longevity, you know, like, oh, okay, the length of the marriage is what makes it, you know, everything. 30 years, great. 20 years, great. You know, yeah, right. If you're in a marriage and it's like, and it's 2 years old and it's completely, you know, like living in the 10th circle of hell, then there are some changes that need to be made. And that may also culminate in the termination of that relationship, you know, because people always get caught up in this whole, oh, I hope it works out. I hope it works out. And I'm like, you know what? It always works out. It may not last, but it always works out because it's intended to teach you lessons. So while I do love and respect marriage, I also love and respect healthy relationships as a whole. So if your marriage is not a healthy relationship, then definitely changes just have to be made.
That's true. And you hit a point right there, that we see how our parents were together and we don't know. They might be together. We think that they're together, but in themselves, they're just there because they're like for our kids, or let's just make that happen because we've been together for a long time. But the love and that's it's not there anymore.
Right.
And you were right about saying we were thinking about the length. Oh yeah, the 30, 40 years, but it's not. It has to be with the communication. So that was my next question. Like the relationships right now, it's
Mhm.
crazy because some of them start early or they follow the steps of, you know, the mom and dad, just like ourselves, and they
Mhm.
would want to follow the same route. And I was like,
Mhm.
what is the number one thing that I know that there's so many number one things that it causes for people to, you know, separate, but what
Mhm.
is something that it can keep them together and bind? But at the beginning, so like you said, me and you were good, but somewhere in the months we were like, oh, we're not meant to be together because I'm striving for more and you're not.
Yeah, basic and ordinary, and basic and extraordinary can never be. But you asked me about something that can keep us together, and I think what people have to really recognize is that like is greater than love, at all cost. Definitely greater than lust, but definitely, but definitely greater than love. Because I think sometimes, myself included, I spent 10 years with a man that I loved but didn't like.
Mm.
And how you do that? It's really easy to do because we were taught, you know, love conquers all things, and you're young and you're like, oh, yeah, whatever. In hindsight, though, I didn't realize at the time I didn't like him. I just realized whenever he said something to me, I would be like, or he tried to give me advice, I would be like, and I would make these faces, right? So I didn't necessarily respect his opinion. And, you know, now older, significantly older, I can say that like is greater than love. I say that with all conviction. I say that with no hesitation, because when I like you, you know, love is great, and, you know, love is God and it's divine and all of that. But when I like you, I make the necessary efforts to ensure that connection is treated well, that it's a priority when I like you. If I just love you, think about all the family members you love but you don't like. Do you talk to them? Do you make an effort to talk to them? I mean, yeah, if they have a problem, sure, I'm sure you'll be there in a heartbeat. But on a day-to-day basis, are you putting in the effort to make sure that we stay connected? So at the end of the day, I feel like is greater than love. And then we also have to realize that our relationships will evolve. And I think that's a place where some people are challenged because when it starts off it's one way and then it might shift into something else in the middle, and then we might go for there's always an evolution, right? Because as humans we're always evolving. Hence why I say if we can grow together, we can go together. If we can't grow together, then we can't go together, because the evolution part is so necessary. But when we like each other, when we like each other, that will sustain us more than love or lust ever will.
Hey, you're right. And there's one thing that I was looking at, that the love and the like,
Mhm.
that's bomb right there. You just threw it right there. And there's something else that with the people, like ourselves, where they are maybe, or older people that are there maybe for 10, 15 years, 20, and then in the middle of that, one of them awakens, and one sees that we got to have more for the family, and we got to start as business. And this is the question that is hard, that I cannot think about it. How, I mean, I know the communication, but now that you're being 20 years and you love and like,
Mhm.
but that person that wants to make it happen, sees it something, but the other person is like, no, we're fine, we're safety, we're safety with our jobs, we're safety with what we
Mhm.
have. That's like something that I always ask myself. If it happens on the middle, like, how can we, help each other out and make it that boat we're on the same page? That's gonna
Right.
be a little tough.
Yeah, but at least you're asking the question. See, a lot of people don't ask the question. I think one of the challenges that relationships have is that people want their own agenda. Like, I tell my clients, I tell my couples clients, I also work with individuals, singles, if you will. Some of them are in relationship, but that's not why they're coming to see me. They're coming to see me about life or business or something else going on. But I think the challenge is, and this is what I tell my couples, it's like he has an agenda, she has an agenda, but we has no agenda. And so many times we are so ready to shaft we, because I need what I need and you need what you need and you want what you want and you want what you want. And I'm like, okay, but how do we win? How do we win? Because if we don't win, there is no win. So if he's winning, she's losing, not a win. She's winning, he's losing, not a win. If we don't win, there is no win. And I think that takes a level of maturity, emotionally as well as relationally, that a lot of people are not willing to press into, because it requires them to be vulnerable. It requires them to exist from a healed state or a healing state, and many people are operating from a wounded state. And so that is why they continue to voraciously, if you will, like demand what they want. And that's not to say you can't get what you want, but how can we win? How can you get what you want? How can I get out? Where's the compromise? Where's the middle ground? And sometimes we just don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's true. And you hit a spot right there where you say we, because like I see in a lot of relationships, like, oh, he's doing this, he's building an empire, and he wants to bring her, but she wants to build her empire too, like on whatever she is, her gift. So
Mhm.
that's important to talk about that, the he or she, and then the we. Because if
Yeah.
we both building an empire, that's the best thing, because we both gonna win. But if we
Right.
put the we, now there's nothing to stop us, because the communication is gonna be there. How can I
Right.
help you to build your
Right.
empire? How can you help me? Who? How can we help others out there? But if
Hmm.
there's never that talk or that communication, it's gonna dissolve. And I see that, and I see that
Yeah.
happening to a lot of people. That I have friends and stuff, and we talk about it, and like kind of give them some stuff because of what I went through, and they're like, "Man, you're right." And I said, "Yeah, man, I lived through that, and I learned and lesson, and then I started going and seeing it deeply. I was like, okay, that's what's
Hmm.
happened." But
Hmm.
you're right. You need to get some help. That's when you say you got to ask the questions. If you don't ask
Yeah.
the questions, then who's going to hear that?
That's true. And I think the challenge is that, you know, what we don't do is we encourage men to have a standard about their partner and who they deal with. And unlike with women, women is like, oh, well, you need to have standards and expectations and make a list and what you want, what you don't want, what you'll compromise on it. But I don't think we exact that same knowledge and wisdom onto men. And I think that's why, nor do we give them space to heal. So I apologize for that. Those of you who are watching, listening, whatever, and you're male, I apologize, because in this world, we don't give you space to heal. We really don't. I could break down right now and 20 people would probably be in the comments like, oh my God, is she okay? Let me know if you need to talk. If you break down, Jesus, it's a whole different conversation. They're going to call your sexuality into question. What's wrong with him? They might send the police to your house. They might think you're crazy. We don't give men the space to heal. But here's the thing. What men have to realize, and if you're a man and you're listening to this, I hope this is helpful. You have to realize that you have standards as well. And the worst thing that you can do is might as well yourself into a relationship. I got her pregnant, might as well. We've been together 6 years, might as well. Oh, we grew up together, might as well. And I'm like, okay, if you know that you have things in your life that you want to do, then you should be looking for a partner, not a might as well, not a well, okay. And so if you're not saying, you know what, if you don't know who you are, then you won't be able to call in the type of partner that you need, the type of person that you need on your team, partner, person, whatever you want to call them, significant other. You won't be able to do that because you don't know who you are, because we haven't given you the space to heal from your wounds, because most men are fairly wounded. Let's just be clear, but we keep telling you to be strong. So you're strong, but you keep screwing up. And so it's like, okay, at some point, you got to take responsibility for your own narrative. And when you take responsibility for that narrative, part of taking responsibility for that narrative is setting proper boundaries and also setting standards so that you can choose somebody that's actually going to build you up. Because listen, Jesus, I'm just going to tell you the truth. Someone to be with, someone to build with, they are two different things. And there are way too many men settling for somebody to be with because they don't understand the difference between being and building. And then they get into the middle, like you were talking about, and they're ready to build. Well, no, you chose the chick you wanted to be with because for whatever reason. So now you're ready to build. She's just a chick to be. So now what do we do? Do we build with the B chick? Do we try to get us a build chick? What do we do? Like, where's the compromise? So that's when we start to have those hard conversations.
Yeah. You're sharing, guys, that when you look for that, because but the relationship is good.
You froze a little bit. There you are.
I'm good.
Maybe. Yeah, you're a little sticky.
All right. I know. I saw that something was happening. There you go.
There you go. All right.
Yeah, and let me start again. You're right, because it's tough, being on that halfway and knowing that you want to build, but one doesn't, and that's the time when you need help. Don't stay there and think that you and your wife are gonna make it happen. No, it's gonna be worse. You're gonna be fighting, and things are gonna get worse. You got kids. They're gonna watch you fight, and that's a whole thing. But if you go through somebody and sit down like yourself, they're gonna put you on the paper. On the table, and they're gonna show you the ways. And it's better like that. So you save that marriage, because if you don't, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, and if you don't, you don't. I think one of the things that people have to recognize is that you got to come ready to put in the effort. And I'm very clear about effort versus work, because another thing that we tell people is, oh, marriage is work and relationships are work and they're hard work. And I'm like, no, they're really not. Anything you have to make work doesn't work. It does require effort. And if the effort will be effortless when you're aligned with the person that you're with. I'm not saying that you won't argue. I'm not saying that you won't have conflict. I'm saying that the effort it takes to maintain the connection, to maintain our relationship will feel effortless. It won't feel like a chore. It won't be laborious. It won't feel like an obligation. And so when people call my office and they're saying, yeah, we just want this to work, I'm like, okay. Why? Is it just a matter of semantics, or are there really some foundational issues here that we probably can't get around? So either we're going to work into how do we co-parent together? How could we now? Some things now. Don't get me wrong. My father moved houses for 50 years. I know what it takes to lift a house off of the ground. I know what it means to be on piers and beams versus foundation. We all know that there are challenges with foundations of houses, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you don't see them until you see the cracks in the walls. And I always say this: when people call my office and they just want me to fix the cracks in the walls, there's nothing I'm going to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for the people who want to get dirty. If you want to get dirty, you want to get under that house, you want to mess with that foundation, shift some concrete around. If you want to get dirty, I'm here for the people who want to get dirty. I'm not here for the people that want to put spackle on the cracks.
And that's right, because I mean, if you're gonna help them with the crack, it's gonna happen again.
Exactly. The crack
And
is just an effect of a bigger problem.
yep. I, I mean, I have a question, that I always see on the movies. I don't know if it's actually, maybe if it's true, when a couple meet, and then they look at each other's eyes and it's like a spark right there. And then maybe in the 3-4 days they already want to, boyfriend and boyfriend. Then the next week they want to get married. Is that, is that just on the movies? I mean, I know that I have friends that they told me that it does happen, but then most of like 70 maybe a percent of it, they never last because it was just like too fast. And then the other percent they do because they work it out.
I mean, it really depends. I've known people that have gotten married fairly quickly and they're still married, and it's a healthy marriage. I've known people that did that, and yeah, it was complete and utter problem, like complete and utter trash. I think it matters what you know about the person. You will never know everything about anyone. So then it comes to a question of, okay, well, why do we feel this way? Can you look into somebody's eyes and be connected to them? I absolutely believe that. I absolutely believe in soulmates. However, I do know that you have more than one soulmate. So I think in the movies, they make it sound like, oh, you met your soulmate. Honey, let me be clear. I've met at least 10 of my soulmates in the last 5 years, and they weren't all romantic. Some of them are platonic, some of them were professional. It is just that clicking thing. So then the question becomes, okay, we click. What else do we have in common? Like foundationally. Now, of course, if you move right into the physical, then you might be like, oh my God, this is the most amazing sex ever in my life. I must keep my hands on this. Well, that's the oxytocin, I think is the chemical you release. That's talking. It's like, hey, cuddle, stay with me, love you. And so it now, if you tell me that you meet somebody and y'all spend all night talking, and the next day y'all are talking and you feel so connected to this person, then we might have something. If you tell me that you met this person and y'all got down for it the first night, then I mean, I don't know, could it still work out? Sure, it could. I mean, that doesn't mean that it won't, but it just means that there's some real information that you're missing, and when you get that information, it could make you or break you.
Man, that's true. It's yeah, it's tough. All of that, I see it. How you're saying it, and the relationships, and that couples fight about. You said sex and this and that, and they have to. It's all aspects of your marriage. You cannot. I see that people leave that one aspect out, and then the aspect. Oh, we work too much, and we're both tired, but. And the other person is like no, and then the other person is yes, and that's like mostly what I see, that is like it starts breaking out right there. Well, he doesn't want the relationship, he's tired, or she's tired, or we're never on the same page. And that's why I would learn that you have to communicate. I was thinking of like, every, maybe not every day, but before you start the day, sit down on the table and be like, hey honey, whatever, this is what we're doing, this is what is on our page, this is how we're gonna meet, pick your parent. I mean, our daughter or our son. Then we come out and eat, and then we set a moment of of nobody bothering us. Kind of like praying or stuff like that, and then we get to whatever we need to do. So
Mhm.
you don't lose that, like the spark. That's what I always listen to people like, oh, our spark is lost. No, it's
Mhm.
not lost. You could start it again, open the door for her. She rent a hotel, go somewhere, make it, big or something. And so you can
Absolutely.
start like if you were at the beginning again. But
Absolutely.
at this age, when we get to it, they're like, oh no, that's whack. We did that at the beginning. Why am I gonna do it now? No, you gotta do it. You gotta lift up the spark again and again and again. But
Absolutely.
people don't believe that's not everybody that don't believe that they want to start over again.
Mhm. People get lazy, they do. They get lazy and complacent.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty jarring. Let's say you meet somebody and you've been talking for 3 months, and you talk every day, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 times a day for 3 months, and on that fourth month, now you talk maybe twice a day. And everybody's like, what? That puts everybody kind of rocky. It rocks everything, right? It's not stable. But again, relationships go through evolutions.
Mhm.
Now, when it comes to marriage, I think the problem that I see is that a lot of married people just believe, okay, well, they're married, that's all I had to do. And I'm like, are you serious? You can't be that glib. Like you can't. Like, I literally did a live one day in my marriage group, in my relationship group, and I was like, I'm sick of people believing that marriage is just something that you do and that's it. Like, that's the accomplishment. That is not the accomplishment. That was a one-time decision. What are you doing to maintain the marriage? What does your couple care look like? Are you sitting down and having conversations? Are you engaging in rituals daily, weekly, monthly basis? Are you having a different conversation every time there is a marked change in your life? What's a marked change? We move. Somebody gets a new job. We make more money. We make less money. Somebody dies. Somebody's relative dies. We get a new house. We have another kid. Anytime there's a marked change, we should be sitting down as the people who are stewards of this connection and saying, okay, how do we navigate this now? We're in an entirely different season of our lives. How do we navigate this now? But the way it stands, if marriage was a garden, a bunch of people just threw some seeds out there and were just like, grow. Okay. And then when they grew, they were like, cool. And then that was it. And then
Yeah.
they're mad because they're looking out now. They haven't tilled the garden, they haven't fertilized the garden, they haven't watered the garden, but they're looking outside talking about grow. And they don't see a harvest. And I'm like, duh. Like, why would you see a harvest in a garden that you haven't taken care of? That's insane. But people do it all the time. And then they come to me and say, fix the garden. And I'm like, I'm looking at the ground going, do you see all the concrete that's in this? Like, do you see the rocks and every, like, we have to, scripture talks about fallow ground.
Mm.
It has to be tilled up. It has to be prepared to receive the seed. And I'm like, y'all are literally now throwing seeds on concrete going, grow.
Girl.
And I'm like, it don't grow like that. Like, only weeds grow in concrete, at least, at least in my neighborhood. I'm like, dang, that's a whole like tree coming up through the driveway. I mean, but on the whole, marriage is a garden. A relationship is a garden if you care about it.
Yeah.
If you let your garden, go to crap, then don't be surprised that your harvest does as well.
Yeah. And that's really good point, because it's just throwing yourself out there and saying, bring me the money, bring me the jobs. No, you got to put the effort on making that happen.
Right. It's like standing in your doorway talking about, I'm believing for 10 grand. Okay, now listen, I do believe in miracles, and maybe FedEx would accidentally throw you a package with 10 grand in it. I don't know. But is that the rule? No, it's the exception. And so we have to be willing to take the action. We have to do our part because that's the part we can do.
Yeah, and you have to willing to take the hits too, man, because it's gonna get tough and hard. But like I said, through the help, you're gonna be there. It's like everything now. So you said it right there. Everybody think that's their mission is complete while you get married. No, that marriage just like a business. That business might not be for you. That marriage wasn't meant for you. That girl was never meant for you.
That's true. But you might as well. So I'm like, that's
Hey,
never what you want to do. If you listen, if you're getting married to somebody and you just don't, and you haven't considered, oh yeah, I just really want to do life with this person. I want to have the adventure and experience this with them. If you're on some might as well, yeah, just save us all the trouble. Like just go do something else. Go get a hobby, like crochet or something, knit, you know, do needlepoint, play Sudoku, do something else, because I mean it's just a lot of energy you're gonna put into something that it wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't meant to be. I want to talk about the last thing that is said in your website, superhero. Can you explain about that? Yes.
I sure can. Well, my clients typically fit a particular profile. Even in the couples, there's always at least one person that's like this, and they usually feel fairly overwhelmed. They usually feel fairly devalued, and they've spent a lot of time rescuing other people.
Mm.
And they're the fixers, they're the helpers, they're really the enablers, but that's a different show. But they spend a fair amount of time doing what I call caping meaning that you put on your cape like you're a superhero and you run out and charge to save whatever, your children, maybe even your spouse, the dog, the cat, whomever. So you're going out and you're caping for all of these people. And so one of the things that I offer to them is the opportunity to, well, I guess it's a couple of things all at one time, is to heal, shift, and become their own superhero. Because if you know how to save everybody else, isn't it about time that you saved you? Isn't it about time that you learned how to rescue yourself and made yourself a priority? Because usually what happens when people get caught up in caping, their needs get pushed further and further and further back. Further, like, forget about the back burner, like they're literally in the wall. They're through the studs now, they're not even on the stove anymore, And so we have to learn that there is an inherent gift that comes from treating ourselves well, making our needs a priority, attending to ourselves as if, we're something important. And self-care, self-love, that type of thing. But like I said, most of my clients, and even in a couple, there's at least one, possibly both, that are engaged in this. And so for me, I had to become my own superhero. I had to stop trying to fix, help, and enable people while pushing myself to the back burner. And so in that, I had to stop caring about what other people thought. I mean, and I care a little bit, but I don't care like I used to. Like I used to care a lot. Like it would define my life, what people thought about me. And I'm like, no, my needs, my preferences, my desires, my wants, my goals, my dreams, all of that. I'm very selfish. I'm an advocate for selfishness. I'm not an advocate for self-centeredness, but I'm an advocate for selfishness. I'm an advocate for putting your needs first. I'm an advocate for making yourself a priority. I am an advocate for not martyring yourself so you can say you did the right thing. I'm like, that's your ego. Ego will keep you thinking, oh, you're a nice person, do this. Oh, you're a good person, do this. Because it's playing on your persona. In fact, you're not even supposed to be nice. If you ever looked up the definition of nice, you're not supposed to be nice. You're supposed to be kind. Nice is a dramatic response, but we're not going to get into that. That's a different show.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, I had to, release a lot of things. And I'll be honest with you, Jesus, I am still releasing a lot of things, even now, because healing is an ongoing process. So there's layers and levels to this. So I released some things, and then I found new things. I got to release those things, and I find new things. But that is how I became my own superhero, and I invite my clients to do the same.
Our question is when you were saying about the healing, yeah, all the healing takes some take a long time, some, but
True.
what happened when you're in a relationship and then you carrying something that you're not together anymore, but it bothering you? Is it like you gotta talk to her about it, that so you could kind of like, okay, it's gone, I can live my life now freely, because it's just stuck in you, like that moment, like you live it vividly, and it's like if you're there and you're like, maybe she's having the same connection, but we gotta let that go.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. Sometimes you have to give yourself closure, autonomous closure, if you will, where it's just you. And because sometimes it's not healthy to go back in even to have the most casual conversation. I think a lot of people, especially if you're dealing with a narcissist empath dynamic, which a lot of people are, the empath is thinking, oh, I'm just going to have this conversation. It's going to be great. It's going to be casual, whatever. And then it's like the minute you open the door, the narcissist is like kicking it in, going, yeah, let me go ahead and dismantle your entire thought process about yourself. And you're like, but wait, I was just asking you about X, Y, and Z. I want
Mm.
us both to feel better. And I'm like, And so, and so in many cases, you have to give yourself closure on that, regardless of what they might be thinking. If it's safe for you to go in and ask a question, great. If you literally just broke up, then, you might be in a state of detachment. And I think you should stay there. I think when you open yourself up and you're trying to navigate being without a particular relationship, when you start going in and asking little questions and how do you feel about this, and next thing you know, you're back in the dysfunction yet
Mm.
again. So sometimes you just have to press into it and be like, okay, well, what is this saying to me? Why are you here? I mean, I feel this thought. I've been feeling it for a while. What do you want? What are you trying to show me? Are you trying to show me something about this relationship? Are you trying to take me back even further? Are you trying to show me a pattern of behavior? What is this really? And then move from there. And then if at some point you feel, completely at peace about reaching out to the person to get some answers, then fine. If you don't feel at peace, then I wouldn't recommend doing it.
Hmm. My last question is, oh man, he just went away. Ah,
No.
crap. And it was gonna be a good one. He was like, I already had a thought when you were talking about this.
Okay, self-closure. Let's see if we can get it back. Self-closure.
Oh
Sometimes it's
man.
not safe. Sometimes you
Oh,
have to detach.
hold on. Yeah, you were talking about, how the question that I just previously asked, if it was the relationship, if it's been, longer time, maybe 6 7 years,
Hmm.
and it's just not like hurting you, but like you gotta let it out.
Yeah.
Should you do it or not?
I
Maybe like
mean,
6. I mean, it depends. I mean,
yeah. You got to intuit your way through it. I mean,
yeah.
I did have the privilege of having conversation with my um, decade long, significant other. We had like a 4 hour conversation. Um, and so we don't have any angst toward each other. I can call him right now, and that's fine. Everybody doesn't. We've literally probably been broken. Let's see. Yeah, we've been broken up 15 years. So um, that being said, everybody doesn't have that.
Mm.
And so I think the question that you have to ask yourself is, okay, am I doing this for me? Am I doing this? Okay, am I doing this for me? Am I doing this because I want to know how they're doing, kind of on the low? Is this a covert operation? What do I hope to achieve? Am I okay if this person doesn't want to give me that? Like, let's say you call and they don't answer. Are you going to keep like I think you have to go in if you feel at peace about doing it. I still think you have to go in with an understanding that this is still another person, and I need to set myself to be okay if this person doesn't want to give me what I need or what I desire.
Hmm. Now that you put it that way, it's true. And I got my question back. Um,
Hey.
this is my last question. Is it possible for relationships? I always think about when I see it. Like I see it like when they break up, it maybe past like 6 7 years. And
Mhm.
through that years, you change, the progression is different of whatever happened, you knew the bad things you did. Then maybe that next year it could have been 7 8, and yeah, and they get back together. Is that like, I don't know, that my question is that relationship gonna be good even though you broke up for something else that you both changed and you have you know grow apart, but now you're like, hey, I'm not going out with nobody, you're not, we actually see what went wrong, I want to
Mhm.
try it again. Would
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
Anything's possible. One of the coaches, um, one of my coaches on my team actually dated her now husband in the 10th grade.
Oh.
And they actually, I guess I can't remember how long they went together in high school. They broke up though. They got married. to other people. They had children with other people and eventually came back together, and they're celebrating their 11th wedding anniversary. They celebrated last Friday.
Huh.
So these things do absolutely happen. And sometimes it's just a case of in some okay, so relationships are our best teachers. They're also our mirrors, right? So sometimes it's a case of you meet this person and you're not ready for them. You're just not. They expose your woundings. They expose some things that where you need to level up, in your life. They expose some places where you settle. So they come and they just rip the scabs off. Like they're just like, this hurts. This is painful. And you do the same for them. And so it looks fairly dysfunctional, right? Sometimes, at least you feel like, oh my God, what is this? I'm in hell. But the core of it is love. The core of it is like there's no malice here. It was just a lot for you to take in that season of your life. So you go forward. There's other seasons, right? You live, you grow. Again, we grow together. We can go together.
Yeah.
And so if you're coming back together and you've grown and matured, and it could be 6 months, it could be 6 weeks, it could be 6 years, it could be 6 months, whenever. If you've grown and you have the opportunity to reconnect with this person and you get to know them in this season. Remember, we can't bring the past. Like, what did you tell me before? You keep the chapter open because it's going to teach you something, but we can't live in it. Okay, so you come together and it's like, wow, it's like a whole new person. They might be a whole new person. You just have foreknowledge of them. So yeah, is it possible you could come together and have an amazing connection again? Yeah. Is it possible that they will once again trigger you to high hell? Yes, because that's the opportunity, right? That's the opportunity. That's what we get from people when we're truly connected to someone. They become our mirror. They become our teacher. And our hope is that in all things, we're just able to grow in love.
Man, that was in my mind. I was like, man, I see a lot of people. Is that true? I mean, my mindset is it's growing and everything. I was like, anything can happen. I mean, they can go back and it might work again, and it might that same week that might blow up, and like this it wasn't a great idea, and that's fine. But now you realize that you're not hurtful. Like now, like through my growing ups and everything from when it happened to me, I'm like kind of realize like, yeah, it's gonna hurt, but you still got. It's like when somebody dies, when I tell, yes, it's gonna hurt. We gotta mourn and everything, if it's your parent or somebody, but you're still living. You're still here. They're already with God. They are seeing you. They're gonna be like, hey man, I'm gone. I'm over here good with God. You keep on fulfilling your destiny. Yeah, it's gonna hurt. And it's something that it came to me when I was little. Like, it's just something that nobody has heard. Just I'm telling you right here. When I was little, I remember my grandma died, and I was maybe 5 or 6, and there was other little kids there. Everybody was crying, like my cousins crying, and I was the only one not crying. Like I knew she was dead. I knew I was gonna miss her, but I'm that kind of person that it does hurt, but I cannot let that cry. Like I know now why, but when I go back to my little version, and I was like, damn, I was 5 and I didn't cry when my grandma died, and I loved her because she did a lot of things for me, but I knew she was in a better place. So somehow that little person knew that it hurts, but life still got to go on. It's crazy. I mean, I never told that nobody today right now that it came to me from, like I said, never closed the book of the past. And it just came to me vividly. I was there, and crying.
Wow.
It's crazy. And until now, it is the same thing. Like people tell me like, man, people die and stuff. I'm like, yes, I do care. But somehow became strengthened in my heart that I know where they at. I know that they're in a better place than what we're living right now. That they're saying hello to you. That they're saying you must finish and accomplish your life. Just because I die, yes, it's gonna hurt, but you gotta keep on pushing.
Absolutely.
And it's tough for people, to understand that, because some of them they can cry and depress themselves for years.
I mean, loss hurts. I think people don't give loss that's not death enough credit. If if somebody leaves your life in any shape, form, or fashion, if you get left in any shape, form, or fashion, it is a loss, and you have to grieve it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, be it a friend, be it a dog, be it your cat, whatever. I mean, that's if your cat leaves. I mean, I know people talk about pets passing, but I mean, if your cat just leaves, like you don't know what happened. One day Kitty was outside, and the next minute Kitty wasn't. Oh, okay, that's a loss.
There's a lot.
If you're talking to someone and you no longer talk to them on a daily basis, that's a loss. And so I think that we understand grief. Everybody understands grief differently. Everybody goes through grief differently. And I think your understanding of what death is definitely frames the way that you grieve. But we also have to understand that loss is loss, and give people the room to go through it how they need to go through it, without putting, like, okay, oh, he's a little kid and he's sad, he should be crying. We do the same thing when somebody breaks up. Oh, well, y'all broke up, you should get over it by now, it's their loss. We say all these, cavalier things. And I'm like, no, grief is grief. But my grief and your grief are going to look totally different. Totally different. And the way that you understand loss, the way that you understand death, if that's the case, if that's the kind of loss that it is, that's going to frame the way that you grieve. We've got to learn to give people room to be who they are in the season that they're in, without question.
And respect them. Whatever they go through, respect that.
Yeah,
Never
absolutely.
judge. We're no judges. The only one that judges up there.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. I remember part of my life I used to judge everybody, man. And then until I awoken and everything, I was like, damn, hold on a second. I'm not nobody to judge nobody, man. Not even myself. It just you roll what you do today and whatever happens today.
Right.
And,
Absolutely.
and that's it, man. I mean, this conversation was they just blew my mind. It was I knew it was gonna be amazing because, like I
Yeah.
said, I always have different people like coaches, but on the same thing. But I wanted to have outside, bringing in different people out there that relationship and stuff because I see it. Go to YouTube and I saw these things. I was like, I want to have somebody that's doing that, so people can know that there's help out there on that. Not only on marketing, not only on business, but on relationship, on the heart or anything. There's always out there healing.
Yeah. And luckily, I'm all of those things: marketing,
Yeah,
business, the
I
art.
know. I know. I saw that. That's why I was in
My
that group.
gosh, I'm
I was in
goulash.
that group and I saw Gwen and then she texted me back and I was like, this is I need them too. And then she texted me back and I said, this is gonna be awesome. Something
Awesome.
that we can spread out and people gonna watch it and then realize that there's help. And like myself, I said I always push out. That's why it's called push power to power because I always push it. Sometimes I'm outside and I make a video like, look, I'm wearing a shirt that is from a business and another business. I'm always helping small businesses out there,
That's
and
awesome.
they'll call me back. They're like, "Oh, you wearing my hat, man? People don't even. I give my hat away. People don't even wear it." And they're like, "You wearing that thing for 2 weeks?" I'm like, "Man, I appreciate your support. Like, you wearing my shirt?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. Those the smallest things are the ones that open those doors for us."
Absolutely.
Hmm. But I just wanted you to finish up with one thing that
Sure.
you can throw out there, and then you can tell them where they can find you and about either relationship or any aspects of life that they're going through right now that they can, I know because of COVID and stuff that they don't
Mhm.
feel this way, that there's a way out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh boy.
Was that the storm?
Yeah, that was lightning. Am I still on?
Wow. Yeah, you are.
Because I'm talking to you. Okay, great. So
No,
I
you are.
was like, did it knock it out? It didn't, but okay.
That was
So
crazy. Hey, it was live.
you did, I know, right? I was like, wow, okay. And it didn't knock out the Wi-Fi, which I thought was fairly fascinating.
Thought it
Okay.
was me because I hit the table and I was like, no, that's not the same sound.
No. So I definitely appreciate opportunities like this to share, and so allow me to thank you for that. I've got a few things going on, but one of the things that I'm very excited about is the constructs that I have around superpowers. I've been pressing into superpowers, and one that I'm really excited about is the construct around surrender. And that came about because of a situation that I am currently dealing with. And I just had to, I just had to throw my hands up, and not in a, oh, I give up type of posture, but in a, you know what? I'm going to give this to something greater than myself. I'm not going to try to control it. I am always in power. I am not in control. And I'm just, I have the power, like you said, power to power. I have the power to manifest the things that I want, need, desire, and deserve, but I'm not in control of the how. And I think that's so important that we recognize that sometimes we just have to let it go and let it run its course. And that's okay. And it doesn't mean you won't be sad, doesn't mean you won't be heartbroken, doesn't mean sometimes you won't be angry, doesn't mean sometimes you won't be confused. It's not like la 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 la, everything's awesome. But when we realize that we have power, but we often lack control, then that gives us the opportunity to press into ourselves, to learn more about ourselves. And so I've just kind of been basking in surrender and self love lately. It's been really awesome.
Hmm, that's amazing. And I know this is not going to be the last show we make. Like I said, I'm doing mastermind small group, so we'll talk about that off scene. So this is great. I already got a couple of people lined up, experts and stuff, including myself, of what we do to create a small group through here. But it's only to people that they want to invest, that they really want to push themselves. It's like I did. I had to push myself and learn how to podcast. And not everything you learn is free. It's something you have to invest
Very
to
much so.
speed it up.
Absolutely. Oh, I actually have a class coming up, and it's called Surrender is My Superpower. I'm doing that on August the 5th.
Ooh, cool.
And I realized that I was doing this show today. So this is what I want to do. So the people that are listening, if they want to go to Surrender, the price went up as of today. But if they mention you, then we will give them the early bird rate
You heard
today.
that, guys? Early bird
Today.
rate.
So they
Trust
have
me.
to they have to they have to message me or email me. They can email me at hey@stephaniedmckenzie.com. It's hey like HEY at Stephanie D as in dog McKenzie.com. But you can find me everywhere in social media as either Stephanie DM, Coach Stephanie DM, or Stephanie D McKenzie. So I'm pretty easy to find. But if you want to get in on that class, I think it would be really powerful because I think surrender is not something that we look at positively. I
Mm-mm.
think we look at it like we're settling. I think we look at it like we're giving up, and it's not any of those things. And so it's an opportunity for peace. It's an opportunity to increase your power, to empower you as well as to put you in power. And I think it's something that everybody should have. And so I'll be teaching on that next Wednesday.
Woo, amazing. So after we finish, you can put all that information here so people will see it. And when I share it again and I watch the replay, guys, yeah, mention me. Yeah, yeah, we're watching the show, and I'll let you in as an early bird. That's good. We need to get this knowledge in there. Like this, knowledge is power, but you have to take action to make knowledge be power.
That's right. That's right. I love it.
Man, thank you very much for being here. I know, like I said, it's not gonna be the first time, and I'll text you later on so we can talk about other things that we can collaborate and let's work. I mean, we got 5 more months left in 2020, and we're gonna make it awesome. I just know it.
It'll be awesome.
Thank you, Steph.
Thank you.
Woo! As you can see, Stephanie, this was an amazing interview. I'm like, I don't even know what to say because I never had somebody that we were talking about relationship and I had my questions set up while she was talking and I was listening, but it opened up my mindset bigger about this topic, because we always talk about business marketing, like I was saying, and we pretty much know about this, and there's a lot of people doing that, but not a lot of people about seeking relationship or seeking healing. So this stuff just hits me, and I was like, "Damn, this is just amazing to know that there's things that, not things that there's people out there that can help you out there, and they're out there and they're well known, but if we don't reach and see and get them to be here, like myself, that I have my show, I wanted to bring them here so y'all can see this. If y'all watching it live, thank you very much. Hashtag live, hashtag replay. And I'm blessed to have her here. I know I'm gonna have her here again, and I know we're gonna collaborate and do some work together. But I'm just out of my mind, just learn something new today. And like I said, it's always good when you learn something new every day. And We're never gonna finish learning. When we die, we still didn't even finish learning other things that we need to learn. But if you can learn a couple of things a day and apply it to you, man, that's a blessing. You hear that? If you learn something, a couple of things a day, that's a blessing. And apply it to you, man. And apply it to you. And remember, hashtag humble power. Remember that. I am very blessed to have her here again. And like I said, she's gonna put it in here right now in the comments. So you get early bird if you're watching. If you're gonna go, I hear surrender is my superpower masterclass. It's in August the 5th, 2020. Early bird rate when you mention me that you were here watching it live, or you mention it when you're watching a replay. And she'll send you no, what's it, or push powder power. Send me an email. Yep. Hey Stephanie. So everything that she wrote right now, you're gonna see it here. So I just don't want to read it to you guys. It's right there. And hashtag be your own superhero. That's her hashtag. Be your own superhero. See, you have to be your own superhero. And then hashtag humble power. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. I know it. You heard that storm, boom, and it was live. So we might. Houston is gonna get some rain, not 100%, but 50% or somewhere. But hey, thank you guys. Your boy Jesus Ortiz from the Push Power to Power Show is out. Love ya. I'll see ya tomorrow on the next. Tomorrow is gonna be the friendly flipper. Tomorrow we're talking about real estate. I'm excited about that tomorrow too. All right. God bless.